You'd think that the British sports car died when they stopped making the MGB some 10 years ago. But this is living proof that the art of making an open-top sports car still flourishes in England. TVR have been making exciting two-seaters in their Blackpool base for the last 45 years. And this is their latest model, the Griffith. And a very civilised and comfortable sports car it is too. It's a very far cry from the rough and ready kit cars they made for their first 20 years. The layout is just the same though, front-engined and rear-wheel drive. In this case, a 4.3-litre V8. The chassis and suspension is well able to cope with the 280 horsepower. In fact, the Griffith is a road-going development to their Tuscan model, which starts its 4th year of racing this Easter. And I'll be showing you a little insight on what it's like to take part in that racing series later in the programme.
For those of you stifling a yawn at the thought of another Japanese shopping shuttle, sit up. Colt's new 1600 GLXI is much more than just a Tesco trolley. In fact, as small cars go, it's a winner. In the showrooms at a touch over £10,000, here's a serious and competitively priced contender in the Super Mini stakes. Look at it this way. How many other small cars at this money come with a 16-valve engine, power steering, electric windows and mirrors, central locking and passive rear-wheel steering? And if that's not enough, it's actually quicker off the mark than a Golf GTI.
Japanese motor mandarins have always had a problem coming to terms with European aesthetics. What might look good outside the paper house doesn't always sit happily here at home in Britain. But this new Colt is better than most and a distinct improvement on the previous offering. Notice this new oval Euro treatment. There's more than a hint of the Peugeot 205 and the Ford Fiesta about it, a welcome smoothness of line. And while it may not have the perfect visual symmetry of, say, the new Astra or the new Golf, it's getting there. Not too sure about the old grab handle on the roof, though.
There's nothing flimsy about it either. The huge doors close with a quality clunk, and the squeakless ride is easily up to Volkswagen standards with no bump, thump or rattles. Get up close, and the paint finish and panel fit is fine, backed up by Colt's 6-year anti-corrosion perforation warranty. One of its most endearing features is its friendly wraparound quality. Light, fluid and precise, your Aunt Agatha could drive it, especially when it's fitted with the optional 4-speed self-shifting gearbox, which in this market segment is likely to be seriously popular.
On the road, it's a real Lulu. Brisk, responsive, and enormous fun just to chuck about. Finely weighted power steering, tremendous progressive brakes, and a very slick gear change. In fact, it's an accomplished all-rounder, and much, much more than just a motorised carrier bag. We've established it goes well enough then, so for those of you who insist on seeing engines, help yourself.
16 valves and multi-point fuel injection means a top whack of 118 miles an hour and a thrifty 40 mpg, naturally not at the same time. Horizon of grey plastic maybe, but the accommodation is spacious and well appointed, right down to a proper Philips pull-out 4-speaker music box. You won't be moving any pianos in here, but fiddle with the split rear seats and there's room for a double bass, or even 2. Happy to trundle round town or sweep through the bends, the GLXI is above all rewarding to live with. And if this one isn't quick enough, there's a GTI version with an 1800cc power unit. If small cars are a compromise, then this one's close to the ideal. With 9,000 mile service intervals, catalytic converter, a modest appetite for jungle juice, and bearable insurance premiums, ownership costs should be low. Second-hand values are likely to be firm too. This is a near faultless little car, unashamedly targeted at women buyers and a welcome addition to a competitive market sector. If anything, I'd criticise its blandness. It does everything well, like the school SWAT. Predictable, refined and well-behaved, it has no vices. chances are it'll sell like hair restorer.
So, this new Colt is roomy, economical, fun to drive, well screwed together, and with only 2,000 coming into the country, it's going to be exclusive too. And don't forget, it's protected by one of the best warranties in the business, 3 years unlimited mileage. It's also incredible value for money. I like it.
Feet of articulated lorry bowling down the Queen's Highway. We've all been stuck behind them and we know they occupy an awful lot of road. Well, the annoying thing about them is that 30% of the time they're carrying little more than air back there because they're not full for the return journey. And even when they are loaded, a lot of these vehicles are rarely up to their full capacity. Well, now there's a new design for trucks like these to improve their efficiency. Now, this may look like the interior of a pretty conventional 40-foot articulated trailer. You might remark there's not an awful lot of headroom. Well, that's because this is a double-deck trailer, and beneath this steel floor is the same capacity as a 17-ton rigid truck. Now, that represents over 50% more payload for a not much more expensive trailer. But the second vehicle is eliminated altogether, and that means huge savings for the operator. The problem with parcel delivery is that volume is more critical than weight. Parcels can't be stacked very deep without damage, and that normally leaves a lot of wasted space. But with delivery taking place overnight, loading rate is less critical, so the extra time taken to lift the roll cages up to the upper deck is not significant. It's a different matter with a supermarket operation or a DIY chain. B&Q are trying out a dozen double-deck trailers before modifying the loading bay originally designed for single-deck operation. The conventional 40-foot articulated trailer, and you've only got to look at it to see the problems. Tremendous amount of wasted space under here, gigantic girder chassis, and at the back, solid axles that run right across the body of the trailer and determine the minimum height of the floor. Now, on the double-decker unit, they've done away with those big solid axles, independent suspension, and that means a much lower trailer floor. Even with the extra time taken to load both decks, the company is saving thousands of pounds a week over its conventional trailer operation. The same advantages apply to curtain-sided vehicles. Often behind those screens, the trailers are half full, and for good reason. Avon, for instance, can't stack their fragile goods more than 6 boxes deep. Put in an extra floor, and capacity goes up from 20 pallets to 34. There are other advantages to the double-deck principle of more general benefit. More pallets per truck means fewer trucks, less congestion and less pollution. And that means the rest of us share the benefits as well. So, why hasn't the scheme taken over completely? Well, fewer trailers mean fewer tractors, so the truck manufacturers aren't exactly delighted. Fewer trucks mean fewer truckers, so the drivers aren't too keen. And fewer trucks mean fewer miles, and so those hauliers who are paid per mile aren't very happy either. But this has not deterred the man who designed the trailers, Fred Wilson from Northern Ireland. He's also turned his attention to tankers. Now, it's rare to find a tanker that can be filled with enough